Hello and welcome back to the Reseller Stories podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Fuller. Before we get into this episode story, I just got a couple of things I want to go over with you. First of all, there's a couple of books that I've read. I read the first one several months ago and then read the second one. I finished it about a month or two ago, I guess. But they tie in together by the same authors. The first book is Extreme Ownership How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And the second one is The Dichotomy of Leadership. Okay, Extreme Ownership is about a set of principles to go by to be an effective leader. And it's kind of geared toward CEOs and stuff like that, higher level management, more than anything. But even if you're an operation of one, you're going to get benefits from it if you use these techniques and practice. Well, they're not really techniques, just leadership principles. So this book or both of the books, they're part war stories in their time in Iraq, and then how they use the principles, and these principles are applied to business. And so both of the books are really good, and I think you'll enjoy them. So check them out wherever you buy your books. You can find them, I'm sure. They've really helped me out a lot. And the other book is called The Dichotomy of Leadership. And in this book, it's more about how these are stories about how the principles were taken a little bit too far, a little bit too extreme, and how that could happen and how you can correct your behavior. It's the same format. It tells a war story. It tells about the principle and how it is applied to business. So I highly recommend these books. I highly recommend you check them out. I really think you're going to like them. And the second thing I want to go over, and I just want to go ahead and start and tell you that I'm not getting paid by these guys. I mean, I've just started using their website about a week now, not even that now, but it has changed the game for me as far as bookkeeping goes. I was so stressed on how I was going to keep the books, especially with this new $600 limit they have on selling with eBay and Mercari and stuff like that. I'm not a computer guy. I can do very basic functions on the computer, very basic spreadsheets. So I didn't know what we were going to do on how we're going to keep books. I didn't know if we was going to have to pay a lot of money for somebody else to keep it up for us. I don't know. I didn't know if I was going to have to stress over trying to come up with a spreadsheet, and hopefully by the tax time I was close enough that I didn't get hit too bad. I had no idea. But the name of this app is called My Reseller Genie. And I can't remember the guys' names right now. It's a man and wife team. She's a full-time reseller, and he's an accountant and a programmer. So My Reseller Genie is absolutely perfect for resellers. It's geared for resellers. It has everything that resellers need to keep up with accurate books. And I mean, they're pretty new. I think in a video I watched, I think they said they launched in November. So they're real new, and hopefully I can get them on the podcast coming up here in the future, because I want them to explain the software and how it works and what you got to do. It's a monthly subscription to it. There's no contracts. You can cancel anytime. They got 2 tiers in. One is $9.99 a month, and one is like $14.99 a month, something like that, for the pro version of it. I recommend the pro version of it, but that's what I'm getting. But yeah, My Reseller Genie, it is amazing. It is took just a massive weight off my shoulders on how we're going to keep up with the books. But y'all go check them out. I'll link their YouTube channel and their website in the descriptions below. So check them out. But now we'll go ahead and get into this story, and it is another amazing story. This story comes out of Texas. I'm sure you might have heard it by now or seen the headlines or whatever. But I got this story off of newsbreak.com. It's Action News Jacks by Bob D'Angelo. Guys, this is amazing. This is every bit as amazing as the drawing that the guy found at an estate sale that was, worth millions of dollars. But this story is an antique dealer from Austin. Her name is Laura Young. She was in a San Antonio Goodwill and found a true legit Roman era bust just sitting in the floor under a table at a Goodwill in San Antonio. Young said when she saw it, said that he looked Roman, he looked old, and in the sunlight, it looked like it could be something very, very special. So she picked up the bust. Well, actually, she got a worker, a Goodwill employee, to pick up the bust and carry it to her car for her. She said, and there's pictures on the internet if you hadn't seen it, where they put it in the front seat of her car and she wrapped her seatbelt around it to make sure she was keeping it safe. But the bust is titled Portrait of a Man, and it went on display at the San Antonio Museum of Art and will remain on display there till May 21st of 23. Like I say, she found the bust on the floor and just like, so, she's an antique dealer, so she knew what quality was. She knew what real things were. And, I'm sure she was freaking floored to find a Roman bust sitting in the floor. But this bust dates back to the first century. This dates back to the first century, and it was a part of a collection in Germany. So, I guess, you kind of use your imagination on how Roman era busts gets and finds their way to Germany, But the bust was last seen in excuse me how I pronounce this word. So the bust was last seen at Pompejanum in Germany. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pompejanum is a replica of a Roman villa, is what that is. It was commissioned in like the 1840s. All right. So what happened was Pompejanum was bombed. The city it's in was bombed real bad during World War II. And they think a soldier grabbed it and just took it home with him and had it at his house this whole time. And somebody grabbed it and picked it up. I don't know if the man passed or what. You know how things go. And it found his way to Goodwill. And you know how Goodwill is. It's just a basically you take your stuff there and you drop it off, and so they have no way of knowing who brought it, how long it'd been there or whatever. So they had no way of knowing how it got there, how it was dropped off, or who dropped it off. They really don't know who the bust is of. They think it could be Drusius Germanicus, a Roman commander, or it could be Sextus Pompey. They really don't know. It could be either one of those. It could be somebody else, I guess. But so what's going to happen to the bust now is it is going to be on display for another year or so in San Antonio. And then they were going to ship it back to Germany, and it's going to go back to this museum, this place that's restored now, and it's a museum. So Miss Young was originally going to try to sell it, but an attorney contacted her from Sotheby's and told her that, if you sell it, it's illegal to sell because you can't get a title on stolen property, and it's considered stolen because it come from this German villa. With the attorney, they negotiated how to get it back to Germany, who's going to pay for it, and all that. And so she did get a finder's fee for finding it and turning it back into them. But I'm sure it doesn't touch the cost of a real legit Roman era bust. So at least she's getting something out of it, but it could be worse. But according to the art newsletter by by Daniel Grant, she tried to sell it, but she can't because it's a stolen item, so it's going to get back to its rightful owner. But Miss Young, this is not the first time she's found something extraordinary like that. She found a Chinese painting that she was able to auction off for $63,000. So she knows what she's doing. She's got a good eye for these things, and I guess it's off for the next adventure for her. I mean, goodness gracious, she found two freaking gems right back to back. She found two freaking gems, so that's nice. Maybe one day we can find us a gem like that. But that's my story for this time. Thank you for listening. I just want to tell you guys that I know I haven't put out an episode in a while, and I was never really consistent with it. Hopefully I'll get more consistent, because I really do enjoy doing these things. And one reason, I changed jobs, and it didn't really work out, and I went back to my other job. I was just working way too much at the new job, and so I went back to my other job, and I'm getting some time off again. So I'm going to try to pick this back up. I'm going to try to get the Reseller Genie team on, or my Reseller Genie team on, and there's a few resellers that I would like to get on. But if you have a story you'd like to send it in to me at resellerstories@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram. I'm more active on Instagram than anywhere. I have a Twitter page. I think it's Reseller Stories, and I got a Facebook group if you'd like to join. But check it out, and I appreciate it. Thank you for listening.